Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two cousins who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK,
And I'm Monica.
and we are joined once again by special guest.
I'm Courtney.
Yay! So today, first, how are you ladies doing today?
Surviving.
Well, glad to be with you two. I love you both.
Last week, we were talking to you guys about how my school shut down for a month. The school decided that we will not be doing online learning because the kids don't have access to technology. Because some of them really don't. Some of them, like, their parents are working full time still, and so they're like lit out with their grandparents in like one of the villages, and they don't have internet really. So instead, we're just not doing anything.
Oh God, do you still have to go into work?
Well, I have to go into work for the rest of this week to make a few YouTube videos to send out for the kids who do still want to do some work. And then my 2 weeks of vacation that was supposed to be from April, that was going to get me to come home to America early, I get to take this month instead.
That sucks. You would have been home early?
I was going to surprise my mom and get home on the 18th of April on her birthday.
Aww.
And now the earliest I can leave Thailand is May 1st.
I'm quitting. I'm quitting the podcast for so many reasons right now. This is my resignation. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
I'm so sorry.
I'm also drinking wine on an empty stomach on a Sunday morning because my church is also closed because of COVID.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, my boss told me the last day of my vacation that we were working from home for the next 2 weeks to accommodate for holiday travel, which I did not take because she had told me previously that she would not tell me if we could work from home. So I took my vacation time and just sat in my apartment instead of seeing my family. So, yeah, it's been a great time. I had a wonderful holiday with my roommate. I cooked a lot of food and we played games, solved mysteries, so it was
and
okay.
then there was me who almost had COVID. Almost had it. I don't. We were in the clear. I was gonna say lungs are healthy, but I vape, so we know that's not true. Also,
I also haven't taken my allergy medicine in a week.
Ooh,
just because
that's spicy.
I've had a lot of anxiety about going to the store to get my allergy medication because I literally have an app on my phone that I have to send a report to my school of every place I go.
I mean, in a sense, it's smart because they can track where you were and possibly see where you could have gotten COVID.
Why they're doing it, but it just feels a little bit too Big Brother for me, and like I'm just like.
I reread 1984 this year.
Why?
I think I just wanted to torture myself, but
I have Animal Farm sitting on my bookshelf, and every time I think I'm gonna read it, I go, no, not the time. Not the time.
See, here's the thing. When I sit and I think about like Big Brother and stuff like that, I know in my hand I am dealing with Big Brother, but at least I'm not aware that I'm telling them. They're just figuring it out on their own.
Somebody was like, have you read the new terms and conditions of Instagram and how Instagram can now take anything off of your phone at any time? And I go, well, first of all, Instagram's owned by Facebook, so are we surprised?
No.
Second of all, I have a Gmail account and a Facebook. The government already owns everything about me, so.
Yes. I'm like, what are they gonna see? That I'm getting another freaking email from like a makeup company saying, "Oh, you should like buy this."
Right.
Or my spam emails. Oh, enjoy reading that. Enjoy the porn bots telling me to like click the link below. Good night, Mom. Love you. Knew my mom was gonna say good night when we started recording. I told her. But That's the thing. Is it like they're just like,
Yeah, what are they
they're
gonna
reading all my
what are
stuff.
they gonna steal from my phone? My 700 unread Groupon emails?
Right?
Why are we the same? A thing real quick, because before we started recording the podcast, we have been sitting on the phone for 2.5 hours, just purely speaking and talking to each other. And we were talking about TikTok earlier. And I am also on a weird side of TikTok that knows that my cousin's a former emo kid, but that is also a millennial. And it's like you have a bond with the oldest cousin who's a former emo kid and a millennial because you wanted to be her when you were so, and they know it's a girl, like because you wanted to be her when you were growing up, so you took that influence and now that's who you are. So remember, you have your older cousins to thank for this. And I was like,
You're welcome.
I'm like, facts. And then we were also spiraling about the fact that co-star was wrong with my chart, and we were learning a whole bunch of things about our zodiac signs because I have a Scorpio moon and a Scorpio rising. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But as interesting as all of this would be, unfortunately, we do need to discuss Hemlock Grove.
Which, by the way, I have been calling Hemlock Grove for months now. I did not realize there was not an S at the end until today. So
It's the Mandela effect, Before we get into Hemlock Grove, this might be some interesting stuff because I'm really just trying to stall before I just get mad. There's a whole thing about because the ball dropped a minute late on New Year's that we entered back into another dimension, the dimension we're supposed to be in 2019. And there's things that say like if you Google like, oh, how many days till Christmas? It'll be like 3 hours and like 4 days or some weird. And there's like a Christmas countdown filter that's like all messed up on TikTok. There's a whole thing, and it makes you very existential, and I get scared.
Okay. TikTok also started the rumor that Kanye West cheated on Kim Kardashian with Jeffree Star. So let's not trust TikTok.
That's also true, because also I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, where does that make sense? Where in the book?
Jeffree Star came out and said it wasn't true. Like, yeah. I think he clarified everything.
Right.
So.
No. It's literally, I watched the video. That was one of the first videos. There's a reflection of somebody in Jeffree's sunglasses in one of his pictures from Colorado that everybody was like, oh my God, isn't that Kanye? So basically, TikTok rumor mill is a bunch of racist assholes who can't tell two black men apart.
Yeah.
And that's the fucking
like, I when I was thinking about it, I know what his ex-boyfriend, I think was, his ex-boyfriend was African American. I'm pretty sure he was like I can't remember exactly.
Racist. So
yeah, which I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I don't know if he's like actually like doing it to prove that he isn't, which if that's the case, that's very fucked up. But still, there's just things that aren't adding up.
It's just a mess. Oh, but I saw, sorry, we were talking about the Mandela effect and TikTok. I saw a Mandela effect TikTok video that it spoke to me on a personal level. And it was about the fact that we shouldn't even be calling this the Mandela effect. Because really, the whole idea of the Mandela effect is that when Nelson Mandela died, a bunch of people were like, holy shit, he died in prison. How is he dying now? And it's this whole idea of the shared memory of him dying in prison. But here's the tea. After he got out of prison, he became the president of South Africa. After he got out of prison. So the Mandela effect is basically just the combined stupidity of Americans who don't know shit about world politics.
Yeah.
It's not a shared memory. It's not a shared memory. It's a shared stupidity.
I've been listening to Border Crime by Trevor Noah, and he, like in one of his earliest chapters, he's talking about Nelson Mandela, and I was like, this makes sense. America just doesn't know anything. Yeah. So
but here's the thing: is like I knew he became the president of South Africa, but I was like, I thought that happened before he went into prison for some reason, and I don't know why. But it makes a lot more sense than afterwards.
He was in prison for protesting apartheid. He couldn't have been the president during apartheid.
That's when I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, that wouldn't make sense. But that's just what I'd always thought.
I do believe that the Berenstain Bears, used to be spelled a different way. That one really messes me up.
I agree.
But the rest of them, I just think people are dumb.
I think
Also,
so.
there's also the Fruit Loops one that was talked about recently.
That one
where
gets
it's F-R-O-O-T was spelled Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
But then they searched it up and they're like, no, it's always been F-R-U-I, like Fruit Loops, like actual fruit.
It's always been the double.
Oh.
Yeah.
But then, and then if you like looked it up, that like there used to be pictures of the box spelled Fruit Loop.
But I can
and now it's back to F-R-O-O-T or whatever.
I can imagine that has something to do with branding and also Photoshop.
Yeah. So I was like, that's weird because I know it's spelled F-R-O-O-T.
Because the only one that I genuinely like don't know if I believe how it happened is the Berenstain Bears, because I have my own memory. It's like I'm not trusting an image that I Googled. I'm trying to remember my own memory.
I picture myself sitting in a Borders in the middle of the mall in Monroe, sitting on the floor because God knows why, that was probably not smart, sitting on the floor reading Berenstain Bears, like in the middle of Borders. So I remember that. Yeah, that one.
And the theme song, it's not Berenstain. They sang Berenstain Bears.
Yeah.
In a little country twang accent. It was not Berenstain. Berenstain.
Nobody, even now, nobody says Berenstain, though. That might be how it's spelled, but nobody says that.
It's the Berenstain Bears.
Mm-hmm.
It has been, always will be. But you want to be a really cool Mandela effect? We had a shared collective memory of forgetting that Hemlock Grove was even a fucking show.
Oh, man.
So
I am the queen of segues, I tell you.
You are. You nailed it.
Season 2 of Hemlock Grove. Now, the reviews for season 2 of Hemlock Grove, most of the ones that I read said that the show had so much potential and they just dropped the ball. And I really didn't believe that until they dropped the fucking ball.
As young Andy Bernard said, ball droppings can be beautiful, as they will, on New Year's Eve, or will make a awkward soprano into a rich full tenor. But here's the thing: this was a disgusting ball drop. It shattered. It loosened on the pole and just on New Year's Eve, and he stays an awkward young soprano. He doesn't get his tenor. Like, there was a lot. Like, in all honesty, there was a lot of potential with the season. Even in the first 3, like we were talking about before, like the first 3 to 4 episodes, they're kind of forgettable because it's like building up a lot of stuff and setting everything into play for the intense stuff to start. Where it was keeping a lot of our attention to keep going, and it's getting interesting. It'll get interesting. There's still time, but the whole I would say the in-between part, literally, me and Mary Kay talked about this in the last episode. If it wasn't for the last 10 to 5 minutes of the last episode, I would not be mad. Granted, would I be thrilled with however they would have done it? Would I have been happier with a floating, majestic baby versus a pterodactyl stingray? Absolutely. Because they're adding creatures that I don't think fit this universe. They're adding in, we don't even know what.
Well, okay, and I wanted to talk about that. I don't remember if we talked about it last week or not, but we did talk about the fact that the episode is called The Demon and the Dog Star. So it's not an alien, it's a demon, which does fit the world of Hemlock Grove, in the sense that, like, it's always been about this weird religious cult and the mythological lore of these creatures, and there's been a lot of religion in it since day one. So having it be a demon does make sense. And while looking for pictures of actors for Instagram series that we're doing, I found something about Dr. Spivak that I did not read what it said. I just saw the word Damascus come up, which, if you are as biblically indoctrinated as Courtney and I are, I saw her eyes light up as soon as I said that. Damascus is the place where Paul has the revelation and changes from Saul to Paul and stops killing Jews and becomes a Christian. So, like, kind of a big deal in religion is the city of Damascus. So, like, I don't know where on earth they are going with this, but it is going to be more religious cult-esque type stuff and not really alien. It's just that the CGI was so crap that it looked like an alien.
So first of all, Monica said last week, when I saw the pterodactyl creature, I had no idea who it was. I was like, is it Olivia? Because she had a tail one time. Because when I saw the doctor the first time, I was like, it looked like he was a robot. I couldn't even tell it was scales. And so I was like, I have no idea. I had to text them to figure out who it was because I had no idea.
And my thing is that coming into this, and like storyline aside, for my purpose here in discussing these shows with Mary Kate is based on the effects, the visual appeal of things, the design of the creatures, how well they portray them. Mary Kate had discussed in last week's episode that when we were looking through the title cards, the only one that didn't make sense was that half man, half like goat demon thing that was in one of the cards. Why not take that imagery when basically every other card that you took was almost an exact derivative of each of those cards in the scenes of the show, and not emplace that? Like, you could have given him wings and pterodactyl, like a monstrous claw, but I think making him be more horse-like, where he was like bottom part like goat and he had ram horns and he had wings.
Yeah,
I think like doing
the tail thing was what really threw it off for me.
Yeah, the portrayal of a demon should not be a stingray. I think it should be more.
It's funny to me because as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking back to how we felt about the season 1 finale, and we were like, we don't actually hate the show except for like there was this one CGI thing that was so bad, and that's what we're doing here, the same thing. I don't think that the writing of the show is as atrocious as some of the critical reception made it out to be. I find it to be a really interesting take at the world of vampires and werewolves that is different than a lot of what is on TV, and I think that's why it was as successful as it was. But they have an amazing FX team when it comes to like the werewolves and the blood, and they do this stuff really, really well. And then they just keep, I don't know if they run out of money or if they get lazy or what it is, but when it comes to what should be the mind-blowing, shocking effect of the season, they drop the ball. When they showed us Roman being the angel in the end of season 1, it was the worst special effect of the whole season. They show us Dr. Spivak being a demon, and it's the worst special effects of the whole season. Like, it's a Netflix show. They have the ability to write the whole thing at once and get budgeted out for 10 episodes before they start filming the first one. Episode 10 should not be where your special effects budget drops out. If anything, you should save the money for that and have some shittier wolf effects in the beginning.
My problem with that is like their writing was lacking in the beginning. Like through this whole season, I was saying earlier, like I could have just thrown out the first 4 episodes. So like it didn't really start for me until episode 6 really. And so they had that budget there that they could have done more with.
Yeah.
And personally, with the way that the effects were done, I think when we said that, oh, it's going to be more bloody and more gory, it really scares me that they were using blood in bigger ways and bigger quantities to add shock throughout the whole season, and where writing was lacking. So they're like, let's just add shock with gore. I'm not saying it derives, because we've all said that like the gore makes sense. It's not senseless gore like it would be in like Saw or something where it just needs to be blood just to be blood. Yeah. But I think like certain scenes were like Roman wanted to rip out Miranda's neck and there was like a blood fountain coming out of her. Like, yes, it was jarring, but at the same time, did we need to use all that blood to get a point across that that's what he wanted to do?
Also, like, this might be an ignorant statement just because I don't, like, ignorant as in actually stupid. How much money does CGI really cost?
Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't know either. And
like I get that if you have a practical budget, like practical effects, and you run out of money, and you have to start using ketchup instead of synthetic blood, like then it's gonna look bad. But like how much, I mean, I edit this podcast for $0. Granted, I'm not very good at it, but like that's because I don't have the ability. I get that for a CGI artist, you'd have to pay the artist, but if they're using the same special effects team for the whole season, they're already paying the artists. So how hard is it to not make the demon look like a stingray?
And my thing with the special effects, personally, I would have gone for a more traditional aspect of a demon for the pure purpose that when they're so focused in on Romani culture and how the Upiers are formed, like dating it back so like it's almost like historically accurate for them. Whereas in biblical readings of like demons and like the devil, there's a lot of mammal features, goat features in a demon, in the devil. And so implementing them without, if you want to envision and re-envision it and make it look interesting, by all means. But I think if you're going based on like biblical things that were true in the Bible or true throughout history or things like that, and you're going off a certain area, stick of that area and with all your species.
I think yes and no. I think obviously like the first story of a demon in the Bible is the snake in the Garden of Eden. Like reptilian features being demonic is not weird. It's
True.
But so I don't mind that they were like, oh my God, he has scales under his skin. I don't mind the reptilian nature. And also, you know, like if we want to get into like current mythology and the whole idea that like reptilian people are really aliens that have like taken over the earth and we're all just serving them, like whatever. I've been listening to a lot of the last podcast on the left, and it's some weird stuff. But they're like their old stuff, like before they were appropriately PC.
Right.
Anyway, so I don't even mind it being reptilian. It's just that it looked so bad.
Yeah. I think there would have been a way to make him look reptilian if that's what they wanted to go with. But I think the design concept of him, it was like someone was stuck in between making him look like a dinosaur and a stingray. I feel like there wasn't a distinct character design for it either, and that's what also bothers me. And that's why I think it's reading less demonic and more alien-esque, is because he has they're more soft features like a stingray with the flat things around his face and the tail, and the only sharp things he has are his claws. I think if he was like this, if in the same silhouette that was envisioned in the character cards, like the intro cards for the title sequence, I think if it was he had like actual wings and they wanted to make the wings look dinosaur-esque, pterodactyl-esque, and they gave him like these talons, I think that would look really cool with like scales, but still keep him like man at the same time.
I think the thing of it was really the face that messed me up, because like if you were gonna have him be completely demon, no human, fine. If you were gonna still have an actual human face on the demon, fine. But it was the shitty CGI of the way they did the face on the body.
And that's the where you have to have to look at something and go, is it worth changing the character design to having it be maybe not as extravagant as what they really envisioned if they can't pursue it properly, or changing the character design to where it can fit being practical with additive CGI effects that won't completely trash it. And I think that's where they needed to rein in and go, well, where do we draw the line? Because they're like, no, we want Stingray Man. And so they made Stingray Man and it looked really bad. Like, I think the placement of like anatomically, like where this face is coming out from, I'm like, I don't feel like that's where his actual face would be. Like, it just, the sizing, proportions.
Like, so disappointing from a storytelling aspect, because like Courtney was saying, we really didn't start the season until probably episode 6, but the last half of the season was really good. I don't think we had a lot of bad to say about anything. We were really, really enjoying it. And now we've spent 25 minutes talking about one moment on the screen because it was so bad that it ruined what could have been a really good episode otherwise.
Exactly, because everything storyline wise was adding up so well this season. Things were coming together. Like even Mary Kate, like when we and you were talking about, well, the cult isn't in yet. They're gonna probably have to rush through and come up with some bullshit ending for the cult, and it's gonna be rushed and we're gonna get pissed off.
But then they didn't. They brought the doctor back in, and we had weird feelings about him the whole season, but had never been developed enough. And they did such a good job of being like, this is the arc for next season.
Yeah. See, my problem was they wrote it too slow, even talking about the cult. Like, I thought starting at like episode 6, we were doing really good. And then episode 9 hit, and it was written so fast that we jumped into everything. And then we get this demon character at the end. My head was spinning. Like, I was like, I don't even really know what happened in episode 9. They could have easily extended it.
Exactly. And if you remember, episode 9 was the shortest episode of the season, but the most happened in it. There was no reason. If they would have put that extra 7 minutes back in the episode and just slowed it down a little bit, granted, I didn't hate episode 9, but giving us that extra time in episode 9 would have made episode 10 feel less stagnant.
Yes. And I think my what I have to say is that as frustrating as it was that they were the slow build to the cult, where we were slow for like the first 6 episodes, we really did not know anything about them besides that they were killing children. That's the only thing that we knew. And then from there, we were getting small bits of information, small bits. And then when all the shit happened with Francis is when here comes the cult.
But even with that, we still don't know what the cult wanted. Like, we know what they wanted. We know they wanted to kill Nadia. Okay. And obviously, like, well, we're not going to go back into how I feel about them using Byronic poetry to do that. But we know their motivation was to, like, stop the Antichrist or whatever. But, like, what is the connection between the idea of the Antichrist and this baby? What do they know about Upir? What like that's the thing is the end goal, we knew the ends but not the means. Like we still don't know why, which I'm hoping will come back up in season 3, but I don't know because they killed everybody.
See, here's my thing. I don't think Nadia is Upir. I think that there is something that she has Upir genes where she can be transformed into an Upir, but I think she is something otherworldly besides that. Because her eyes do something.
Well, yeah, her eyes that blue is real weird, but it's the same shade of blue and the same thing that happens to Shelly's face.
Shelly.
So
I just think that there's more to Nadia just besides simple.
We already know that there's more to Nadia because of whatever the F Dr. Spivak put in Miranda to put in the baby. So, like,
I think what changed her over was whatever he put in her.
I agree. I don't think the supernatural powers are from Roman and Letha. I think that is whatever the doctor did to her. I think that I think she was Roman's baby who was born in the cult. So she is Upir. Like, there's no question about that. That's why she's not dead, to be honest. Because when Letha died, if that baby hadn't been born in the cult, Olivia would not have let it live. Let's be clear. So the baby.
But wasn't Roman supposed to eat her?
No, Roman was supposed to eat the caul, eat the thing around her head that Olivia did to him. Yeah, no, Roman was never supposed to kill the baby. He was just supposed to bond with it. But because he didn't eat it is why he had such a hard time bonding with her.
Which wasn't made very clear in the writing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it that only makes sense to me because I spend 18 hours a week talking about the show that I don't think the average viewer would be able to connect the dots with. Like the whole idea of how any of this Upir stuff works is so poorly written, so vague.
Even with the cult, like I didn't pick up on the fact that they were targeting just children until you said it. Like, and I felt like that was pretty clear after you said it, but in the beginning I had no idea. I was like, I don't know what this cult wants. I was like, even though they were so big in the trailer, I was like, are they just killing random people?
Well, and that's the thing. The trailer made it seem like there was so much more to the cult, but really this season was about Peter and Roman trying to figure out how to be friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was very upset with that part of the writing because based on the trailer, I love a good cult. It's one of my favorite things. And so I was very amped about the season. I was like, it's going to be so much better. I'm going to be in. And then it took 6 episodes to figure out that there even was really a cult, what they were doing. Like,
and for me, I was intrigued by the idea of what is the difference between the cult and the Order of the Dragon, because there was very religious symbolism in the cult and blah, blah, blah. And like, how are they connected? The opening of was it episode 7 or 8 where we got the weird Vampire Diaries opening scene with Olivia?
Maybe 7.
I think that was,
or was it?
I think that may have been, which opening are you talking about?
It was the one where Olivia was in France in the 1800s, and I felt like I was watching the Vampire Diaries.
I think that was probably was 7.
It was
because
8. It was episode 8. Okay, so it wasn't. We literally didn't get any kind of confirmation that they were from the same thing until episode 8. The cult and the Order didn't come into play, and Bishop Francis was in 1 episode this season. Like, Beaumont and his nut squeezer got more airtime than the cult.
Yeah. And I think it's very with the whole storytelling aspect, especially of the cult. I think, and it really upsets me because I think the cult basis literally was only to get Peter and Roman to be friends. I don't think there was any other need for that cult, because the Order of the Dragon, like them tying it in the cult into the Order of the Dragon with Francis's episode already goes to show, like, well, this is just an offshoot of the Order of the Dragon that the Order of the Dragon seems to condone anyway.
Devil's advocate here. I think because when Dr. Spivak was weirdly talking to the baby, he was talking about the cult and what they wanted to do with her and how he knew she wasn't like a demon and blah, blah, blah. So I don't think the cult is gone. Or at least the goal of the cult is not gone.
Oh no, absolutely not.
So hopefully there will be some kind of redemption in the understanding part of it. Like, I knew going into this that season 2 and 3 were going to be much more interconnected than season 1 and 2 was. But I just, again, feel like if I were watching this in real time, I would not continue. And I actually, one of my friends who I've talked about on the podcast a lot, that he was the only person I knew who watched the show and enjoyed it. He stopped watching after this episode. He did not watch season 3.
And the thing that
with Dairy Queen with, she did watch season 3.
She did?
Yeah. But she was insane.
Well, there you go.
My aunt also stopped after season 2, and she watched it when it came out.
And I think when me and Mary Kate had talked about this last time, when you have almost 18 months in between a really shitty ending of a show and like you're hopefully getting a season 3, like not many people, if it ended badly, like you're trying to do this great big plot twist, but you're dropping the ball where like not everyone's going to be, because it may not be clear to people who aren't sitting there and analyzing the show to discuss it with everyone that Dr. Spivak isn't an alien. Whereas we will know because we've deciphered and spoken and talked about it, that we're like, oh, it makes sense that he'd be a demon. He's probably a demon. Whereas they're like, that looks like an alien from outer space. Why the hell are we bringing aliens into this shit? And they're like, no, because it's not. And that literally also comes down to character design. And then that gets mixed up in between character design and the storytelling. And that's where it's not properly, but the two lines of communication aren't melding well. That's why I wish I know this sounds stupid, but I wish Dr. Spivak was just a little bit more generically demonic. If they wanted to go reptilian, fine. Just make it more clearer that you want that, because it looks like they didn't want to have a human face on it, but they had to get the shock value that I'm like, oh my god, Dr. Spivak's this demon thing, this alien thing. Because if it didn't have a face and we were just seeing the stingray triceratops thing in the middle of the sky, no one would know what the hell it is. So they had to make it be known that Spivak. So his face had to be there somewhere. And that's why I think they should have went more human-esque with reptilian aspects to him, instead of trying to come up with this character design of this morph thing where he looked like a piece of stretched Ed Gein skin that was dyed blue with a face superimposed on it. Like it, or yeah, Ed Gein, he's the one who made the lamps out of people, right? Okay, just making sure. Have my serial killers right. I've been watching enough Bailey Sarian to at least think that I was correct.
Don't worry, we have you. We got you.
Thank you so much.
No,
but it's just
I was looking because so season 3, when it came out, it was advertised as the final chapter. So they knew going into season 3 they were only making 3 seasons. I was just trying to figure out when they were officially confirmed for a season 3. Like, did they go into season 2 also knowing they were making a season 3? But I can't find a confirmation anywhere on the internet.
Yeah. So. And I think I think after the finale of season 2 that there was going to be nothing after season 3. I feel like they're like, you left it way too vague for them to at least not close it off, but this is going to be like your last season. Like, we're not renewing you after this, which scares me because I think in season 2,
it wasn't good. Let's be honest. Objectively, it was not good, but it had good ratings, like from viewers. Like a 7.9 and an 8 on IMDb is not a bad rating. The critical response was not good, but audience response was not bad. So I don't think that it was canceled. I think that they went into it intentionally writing it this way.
Well, okay, my thing is, if you look at, if these are the same people who are rating it that watched season 1, obviously they're going to give it a higher rating.
True.
Like, I mean, this season was 10 times better than season 1. And so I'm not surprised by the ratings because these people have seen both seasons now, I'm assuming. So I think that's why it was okay going into season 3.
My concern with it is if it was because they're like, well, the ratings were like high because certain viewers, but then like they tanked at the end of the season and like whatever it was.
I found the date. So the second season premiered on July 11th. On September 2nd, Netflix renewed it for a third and final season.
Okay.
But let me link.
That's the day for my birthday.
Okay. Okay, no, when they renewed it intentionally making it the final season on the production end, not Netflix's end. So that's what I wanted to know if it was and like the article says, Eli Roth said, "We are so grateful to the fans of Hemlock Grove who have championed the series so intensely over 2 seasons. We're looking forward to taking the last and final season into some dark and unexpected places and to giving viewers the killer finale you'd come to expect from Hemlock Grove." Finale we come to expect? It's going to be trash. Trash to expect.
See, when I was talking about my concern with it, if it got canceled because of ratings or viewings and that, so they got told going into this last season, I was terrified that it's going to be rushed and they're going to want to put in all these aspects that they wanted to put in later seasons into one season. And that was my concern. But knowing that it's not anymore, at least gives me a little bit more hope.
But
see, I'm still concerned about that because of how this season was done. It was so slow in the beginning, and then it was just rushed at the end. And so I'm like, are they going to do the same thing for season 3? Like, where are they going? They don't have a book to go off of anymore. And so
That's true.
this season was kind of the test run for season 3, and it wasn't great.
Let's read the spoiler-free season 3 review on the Rotten Tomatoes. They have 33% score for season 3. 45% when it comes to audience. So even the audience doesn't like it this time. And there are no critic consensus. None. But let's see what some of the reviews say. All the critics, there are 6 critic reviews. It did feature some interesting tweaks to the vampire mythos. The catch is, in order to learn about them, you have to watch Hemlock Grove, and I cannot recommend that experience.
I concur.
Hemlock Grove is a show best known for being bad and strange, and the new season does not disappoint.
Yay.
Oh, this is a good review. Because Hemlock Grove doesn't even attempt coherence, it's impossible to predict what's coming, making every episode an exhilarating surprise.
That's like a backhanded compliment. I love that.
What I didn't expect was to walk away feeling disappointed by all of season 3, feeling exhausted by Hemlock Grove in general, and wishing I hadn't invested so much time and energy into the series in the first place.
Mary Kate.
Hemlock
Put our time to a podcast.
Flawed season, but it definitely improved over the course of its final season.
Okay.
And the last review, consistently ludicrous in the worst way possible, Hemlock Grove slogs through its final hours with the same novel blend of oppressive stupidity and confounding mythology that made the first 2 seasons such a bore.
See, I don't know if I fully agree with the fact that they would call it a bore. I don't think it's boring. I think it has boring times where it's very slow.
Watching it, I have been disappointed,
yes,
angry, frustrated, but never bored.
Yeah, because I think that critic was more so talking about the lore of like their wolves and their vampires, which I could see why they think it's boring because that there's not enough information to make it exciting enough unless you're sitting and like literally going into hours of analyzing each fucking character.
My favorite review might be the one that said, it's actually really interesting if you didn't have to watch the show to find out.
Yeah, I could get behind that.
Like, I was telling Mary Kate, when we were watching the episode that involved the eye stuff, and you probably had heard it on the podcast, my boyfriend was watching that episode. That was the first episode of Hemlock Grove. He actually listens to the podcast. That was confirmed this week. So hi, Cody. Hi, honey. Here's me publicly being a simp for my boyfriend on a podcast. Cool. Anyway, he watched it for the first time, and he has a real big thing with eyes. Like, he doesn't like even seeing me like take off my fake eyelashes or do my makeup. He's like, I don't like it. And that poor kid, first time watching Hemlock Grove, he sees needles right in the eye. And he was like, oh my, I think he almost cried.
I mean,
I think he wanted to cry.
I could not watch that scene.
Yeah, no, it was very, very uncomfortable. My dad couldn't listen to me talk about that scene.
It's very rough.
So, we did this last time. And I guess, it would be good to figure out what was the best and worst episode of the season.
Let me pull up the episode titles real quick so that I can see what they're called so I'm correct with these statements.
I made notes, so I have answers.
Well, wait, before we move on to this, is there anything in your notes that you wanted to talk about that we did not address yet?
I love that, the only thing, I love that Olivia has become evil again. I love the chaos she creates, which makes everyone else angry. I know, I get it. I love it.
I love I was not mad that she went evil again because I don't even blame her for it because I would probably do the same thing in that situation. But y'all heard me all season being like, no, I really believe her. She's gonna be good now. I just want her to love people. Fuck
And
me.
I was angry all season. I was like, why is she acting so pathetic? I'm ready for her to be angry and chaotic again. Let's bring this back because she's my favorite.
But the difference now, and this is what I will say, even though she's evil again, the difference now is I understand her motivation. In season 1, she was just a bitch for no reason, and I didn't get it. Now, after watching this arc of her being weak and getting walked on and feeling what that feels like, and now fighting for something instead of just to
Fighting
fight,
to fight.
I feel like even though she's going to be evil, I'm still going to be rooting for her.
See, as for me, when it comes to Olivia, I didn't like her in the beginning because she was still fighting against, she wanted to have things her way, her way, her way. And seeing her get knocked down a few pegs, I was like, because I have a gigantic soft spot for Roman. I really do. And knowing what Roman did and not understanding why he was doing certain things, and then to find out that his mother was the reason for so much of it, I feel awful, like, and putting myself in his shoes. It makes it really, really hard to root for her after, especially at the end when everything unfolded.
Yeah,
But I feel
season 1 finale was not a time where Olivia was a friend of mine.
yes. And like it was nice to see her grow and to see her change. Like there were points where I was like rooting for Norman because like I was like because I used to hate Olivia so much, but I was like, oh, but like Olivia's actually I think trying to change. And then Norman did what he did. I knew he was gonna die because I told Mary Kate this. I'm like, he literally has nothing left but Shelley. He's going to be a main character that's going to die, and he's going to be a main character.
He got real annoying. By the end of that season, by the end of that season, I was ready for him to die because he was just so annoying. Honestly, the moment that I knew that I didn't care if Norman lived anymore was when he went to confront Roman and admitted that he knew he was Roman's dad.
Yep.
I was like, well, okay. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Like, if you knew that the whole time, you've done nothing for this kid who clearly needs a father. You're a psychologist. You're a psychiatrist. You spend all day watching people on their biggest breakdowns, and here is an 18-year-old kid who clearly needs a parent, and you've done nothing for his whole life because you were thinking with your dick.
Mm-hmm. And when he was trying to explain it to Roman, and I was like, and that's where my soft spot for Roman comes in. I'm like, I just hate everyone besides Shelley and Peter. Everyone else, fuck off. You hurt my baby.
I hate them, but I love their characters.
Honestly,
I love the chaos.
No, the chaos is fun.
No, the chaos is great. The chaos is great because the show is just nothing but chaos.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to say, by the end of season 2, I'm not even really, like, obviously Roman and Peter are still the most important, but, like, if season 3 could just be about Price and what the fuck is actually going on in his head,
yes.
Shit out of that.
See, I would also like to say I went through a character development in season 2 because I went from not trusting Price with a single thing he ever said in season 1, and now I'm like, I love you, you Elton John motherfucker. Like, I love Price so much right now because we got to see like the excitement and the nurturing he had for Shelley, and the sass that he was serving Olivia back in, which kind of whooped her ass into shape, which when she was like not oopier anymore and she was like a normal human, he was like, bitch, you have no sympathy, stop pretending that you do.
Oh my God, the amount of time I was like, this man has been waiting 25 years to say this to her, but was waiting until she wasn't going to be able to throw him across the room with one look.
I love hate Price. Like, I feel like he's got a lot of ulterior motives, and there's a lot going on that we don't know about that he's trying to make it selfishly about him. I also kind of love him for that.
But also,
That's
who
the thing.
in this show doesn't have
Oh my
selfishness?
God. Everyone.
And
Yeah.
see, that's the thing where when it comes to Price, that he's one of those characters where I'm like, he is so interchangeable, and so he could be one side of a coin and literally within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has ulterior motives, but you can see for himself, but you can see where his true selflessness lies in which characters.
But I think the only character, I mean, Shelley notwithstanding, because Shelley is a perfect angel who does nothing wrong ever. But
I kind of hate the reason why I almost want to say I hate Olivia is because of what she took from Shelley. Shelley did nothing wrong to Olivia where she had to take
I agree, and I hate that, but I also still blame Norman.
See,
you're right.
I agree that she took it from Shelley, but I'm not convinced that Shelley was fully in Priscilla. I think if Shelley would have died, she would have been completely gone, and Priscilla would not have been.
It would have been more like the Tupac hologram at Coachella than an actual version of Shelley.
Right.
I think it would have been
person already.
Yeah. She was her own person when Price had her brain map and everything, and then he like tricked Shelley into thinking that she wasn't already alive. Right. That was rough to watch. And I think for the thing that Priscilla was going to be someone that carried Shelley's mannerisms, had her memories, had her sweet way about her, but was a different person in how she acted.
And I think that it was heartbreaking to see Shelley's reaction to being stuck in her own body, but at the end of the day, I think that Shelley is still Shelley because of that.
Yep. Yes. Like, Shelley is still going to be Shelley. And the thing that irritates me is that, granted, Norman fucked up everything with her life with Norman, but Olivia still could have done things to prove to Shelley and Roman. If she really wanted.
Olivia could not have proved anything to Shelley and Roman if she died. And that was Olivia's thought process. If Norman had the choice to kill her or watch her slowly, painfully decay, and she wasn't going to be able to be a good mom to Roman and Shelley if she was decayed. And she didn't have Norman there to help her, and he was not only like not with her anymore, he was hatefully planning her death. And in that moment, the only thing that she could do to get revenge on Norman and still be a parent to her kids and her grandkid was to live.
But the thing that irritates me is that she took away the trust and the gainingness that she was already getting with Shelley back away in a second.
Did she know?
I don't think so.
I don't think so yet.
I think she was tricked by Dr. Chernobyl.
She got tricked by Dr. Chernobyl. Also, Price specifically did not tell anyone what was happening to Shelley until after it was finished, and then he wasn't going to tell Olivia. He was only going to tell Norman and Peter.
Roman.
And Roman. Norman and Roman. So did she know that this girl had Shelley's consciousness in her head? Yes, because she talked to Priscilla and then she asked Price about it. But she did not actually know that Shelley was going to die. That was never told to her. So while it was selfish what she did, it wasn't like she went into it knowing, if I do this, I will fuck up my daughter's life.
Yeah.
That is also fair.
And that's where I'm giving her a little bit of grace, because if she had known all of the details, it would be really shitty. But she didn't have all the information, and she had 8 different people lying to her in different directions.
I don't think she fully turned back until she killed Priscilla. So I think even before then she was still wanting the best for Shelley, for Roman, for the people she had connected with.
Even now in her evil, angry state, she doesn't want the best for them.
Yeah.
She wants her grandchild because she knows she doesn't know that Roman didn't finish the treatment.
Yes, he does. Yes, she does.
No, she doesn't.
Mary Kay, yes, she does, because when she came into Price's office, she's like, well, you'd be good to know your son ran out because he's still OPR, he's carrying your genes. She knows he's still
Oh,
an
right.
OPR.
Sorry, I forgot about that scene. I was thinking that she didn't know, but no, but she knows that Roman doesn't
Won't
want
change her.
she to become OPR. And in
But
her, and here's the thing. Granted, she's not nice. No one's pretending she's a kind, loving, bake your grandkids cookies kind of person. But you have to remember that she doesn't necessarily have to follow the same moral compass that we do.
Right.
She in her mind, the best life for someone is to live forever. And if this baby is never brought into this world that she lives in, and lives a, what did she say, a useless human life that wasn't even worth being born for, then all of the things that she did and all of the pain she caused between her and Roman was for nothing.
And like, I was gonna say, jumping back a bit, like, I will say that was one of the reasons that I was a little bummed Linda left this season, which feels like it was a whole different season, because I thought that Linda and Olivia were going to come together like they had in the last season to kind of help Peter and Roman along. And so I was really bummed about that, because like, this is how she's gonna grow, this is how she's gonna progress, and she's gonna help Roman, and Peter's also gonna be helped. But then Linda left, and I was like, well, this is a bummer.
But I think Destiny kind of took Linda's place in terms of character development this season. Like, she was Peter's North Star in a way that like Linda had been before, except that she's not really motherly.
Yeah, I don't love Destiny.
God,
I don't know why. But
I hated Destiny in the first season. Every episode she was in, I was like, she is so useless. But in this season, I don't know. She's just.
I think I was fine in the first season because she was useless. But this season, I was like, she's in the way now. And I'd like her to just kind of take a step back. If she could just grab Miranda's hand and they could run off into the sunset and leave Peter and Roman alone, everything would be better.
Every time Destiny like shit talked somebody or like messed something up, I was like, yes. And also, if there was no Destiny, there would be no Andreas. And
I do love Andreas.
see, here's my thing with like Destiny. I think there were at moments throughout the season where I was like, I get what Destiny's doing, but like there's also boundaries that she's overstepping that theoretically she has no room to overstep. Like when I hate her, like I hate Miranda just as much as her, if not more. Like, but like when she went to Roman's house to tell her that she was a bitch and that she needed to leave for the second time that day, I was like, okay, she got it the first time. You don't need to keep hammering it in. Even though now looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, fuck Miranda. But
if you are ever dating someone who's as shitty as Miranda, I guarantee you I will be Destiny all up in that shit. I will tell them to get the fuck out every time I can.
That was like the one time I was okay with Destiny.
Remember, like, no. Remember, for the last 3 years, I have not lived in America.
I was gonna say, you were Destiny from Thailand when you could be.
I wasn't there. I was getting secondhand information at every turn. And secondhand information from rose-colored glasses of wanting everything to be okay.
And second information from people who defend the shitty behaviors.
Right. So I didn't have a chance
to be Destiny. And now you won't ever have to be Destiny anymore. No one will have to be Destiny because I will never be with a Miranda ever again.
I could find a guy who secretly has a gun and like is doing spy work behind my back, drives a motorcycle and calls me a creamsicle.
Honestly, that was.
Oh my god! I just poured wine all down my chest.
You look like a vampire. You look like a vampire.
Like Roman blood.
Getting into the spirit of Hemlock Grove.
Woo!
She really said she's
Sorry,
like,
I just
I'm
got
doing
real
special
worked up
effects.
about Andreas.
You said I'm doing the special effects this time. I am the vampire.
No, but I get it. I get it.
Like, honestly, I think one of the most iconic moments of season 2 was when Andreas had a silencer on his gun, shot Testicle Man in the back of the head, and said, "Sup, Creamsicle?" And I was like,
my favorite was why do you have a silencer on your gun? No, why do you have a gun?
I thought that was Roman at first who shot him, and I was like, where did Roman get a gun? And then Andreas came out, I was like, that's it.
Literally, I think my only note for that moment when he came, I just says, Andreas, my one true love.
And also, okay, can we start Everyone Hates Miranda hour just for a quick second?
Please.
I want everyone, it's going to be a new little fun game because we know we're going to have Hate Miranda moments next season when we do this. I want everyone to pick their least favorite moment that Miranda had this season, and trust me, I know it's going to be very, very hard.
Here's the thing. I don't like Miranda, but y'all hate her at a level that I cannot get to.
No, you don't have to hate her. Just
me and Monica hate the same characters the same. We hated Christina together, and now we hate Miranda together. It's just a thing we do.
It's a thing.
I think my biggest problem with Miranda is that I'm a little bit jealous of this threesome that she had that I did not get to have.
Yeah. I honestly, if I gotta say something real quick, I honestly don't think there was much of her involved.
That's the thing. I agree. I'm like, that can't have been fun for her.
Like, Miranda was, she probably was like ended up being cuckolded by the end of the night. Like,
yes.
like she may have been in the middle of the bed, but she was not in the middle of that double-decker sandwich. No. She
You're
said,
right.
"I'm that piece of tomato you take off of the sandwich and leave on the side." Like, Miranda was like, they probably like had her in there for a beginning, like helped her out real quick, and then it was just like an excuse for Peter and Roman to just be together, and then classified it as a threesome.
Yeah,
because I want that.
Pause. I really do need to go change my shirt. So I only read the critic responses, not the audience responses when I read those, but I really just want to read this one-star review. To be logically consistent, I'll be dialing up a psychiatrist once I finish this review because anyone who watched all 3 seasons as I did is in immediate need of psychiatric attention. This entire series has been a grotesquerie, a garden of delights for young, dumb psychopaths. The writers and special effects designers deserve to be in padded cells. I found no fault with the acting, but I can only pray that this gig paid the actors well enough that they never have to degrade themselves to such a degree again. That was so much.
Honestly, not wrong though. See, the only time that I really liked the effects team minus
the wolf stuff is so fucking good that it makes me hope for everything else, and then nothing else is good.
Exactly, and that's what irritates me, is that because like in either they would miss the mark with like small things with like tattoo placements and the way tattoos would look or cuts or things like that. But when they would do like the really big stuff, or just like when they would let the blood in season 2, like the amount of blood in it, it still made sense to the story, yet it was a shocking gore factor. Like it didn't make me infuriated, it didn't make me disappointed, it didn't make me angry. But when they have something that's so big into the storyline just lacks so hard in the special effects department, it's so shit. Like when you can see that this effects team has potential, and the guy who is mostly credited for a lot of the effects, he had a lot of big credits where he did a lot of big work. Like he did work on Saw, he did work on I think Nightmare on Elm Street, which if it was Nightmare on Elm Street 5, I would have been like, mm-mm. But it was like I think the earlier ones that he was working on, which wasn't too bad. But in those scenes where he's worked on big budget movies that are incredible and the effects in them are great, that for you to degrade yourself and let CGI and being from a world where they in movies where they use special effects a lot. And like me and Mary Kate were more pissed off. We're more pissed off about this season finale's special effect and the way of how it was CGI together and how they could have gone a different route with it and changed the character design. Whereas with Roman's angel face, they could have simply just had him standing there backlit and a light shining on his face where CGI was not literally not needed. Like you could have spent $0 to not do that. Like you put more money into CGI in the shot than just practically doing it. And that's one of my biggest gripes and issues when it comes to effects in the movie industry. Like I understand that there are certain effects that aren't easily and can be well done with CGI. Fine. That is fine and that's understandable. But when there is something you can do practically and it will still have sometimes a better effect from it, don't discredit it because it might take you a little bit longer to get it done. Because at the end, what you have to show for it to be like, hey, I made that with this and practical things, I feel like it gives you a bigger sense of accomplishment if you're creating like a monster and not like a whole Star Wars universe or shit like that, where that stuff very understandable, and like in Avengers very understandable because that's like big scale where you can really only use CGI. But when it comes to creating a character in a live action scenario where you have to CGI the character in a way that's not cohesive, like unlike, like Genie in Aladdin, even though that was a little dodgy in certain scenes, but that's whatever. When you are creating a monster in my head, it just makes more sense to go with a practical route if you can. And it just irritates me because this creature that we're seeing at the end of the season, I know it's not the last time we're going to see it like this because it's a main plot. And that bothers me.
See, I did have a problem with some of the blood scenes though. So full disclosure, I almost cut my thumb off in September when I was trying to cut an avocado. It's still like swollen from where I tried to cut it off. And it looked very different from what they showed on like the ankle scenes when he cut his ankles.
Oh my God, I saw a comment about that and I was like,
so whenever he was doing that, it brought me back to what's the movie with Ash Campbell? Is that his name or is it by Ash Campbell? They did a remake in like 2015.
Bruce Campbell playing Ash in Evil Dead.
Yes.
Evil Dead.
So it brought me back to like the original Evil Dead of blood. And so that's like what I pictured while I was watching that scene. I was like, we are in 2000, what are we in? 2012? What? I don't remember what year this is in.
I think this is 2013.
Okay, so 2013, 2 years before the new Evil Dead. There's no reason blood should look the same as it does in a 70s, 80s movies. I'm not good with my years. And I was like, but that's exactly where it took me back to when I saw that scene.
I didn't think it was that unrealistic.
It seemed watery. Like it didn't seem blood-like. I don't know. It was maybe because I'm having PTSD from almost cutting my thumb off that it wasn't.
And that's very fair, but like in certain, like in different parts of the body, the blood will either it'll be different.
Arteries are wider in your legs than they would be in your thumb, so it would be more liquid.
I guess that's true. I don't know. It bothered me, but like it was just like my immediate thought was Evil Dead, and I was like, I should not immediately go to an 80s movie. Also, like when I'm watching it, 2013.
I did a little bit more research, and apparently, they did write the third season as the third and final season, but it was because Netflix told them they only got one more season.
That's fair.
And that's where my fear in lies, that we're going to get a very rushed yet slow fucking season.
When I looked up the episode, there were a lot of people that had searched like Hemlock Grove season 4, and I was like, I can't.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I don't want to know.
A lot of people were like, why is it not coming back? There's still petitions right now to be like, we want a season 4.
Which is going to make me angry because I am okay, so when I watch Bailey Sarian's YouTube videos, and she does like the mysteries, the unsolved ones, where she's like, it keeps me up at night when something's left unfinished. She's like, that's why I don't like reading into cases that don't have a closure. And I'm like, if that's
no. Monica, remember how I know the ending?
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but there will never be a season 4.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but I know the ending, and people who want a season 4 are dumb. Like, there's no way.
Okay.
There's no way.
That gives me at least some hope, but it doesn't give, I guess you're hoping like, okay, cool, end. But like, it also doesn't give me.
I'm not saying that it will end well. I'm not saying we will be happy, but there will not be loose ends. I just need to see another season.
There are loose ends now, and I don't want a season 3. So I don't know.
That is very fair. That is very fair.
Yeah.
And I think with season 3, we can see this. The writing does not have good pacing.
Well, before we talk too much about what we think is going to happen in season 3, we're going to watch the trailer and we're going to talk about it. But before we do that, we do need to return to Everybody Hates Miranda.
Yes. So, since I am the president of the I Hate Miranda fan club, feel free to join. It's free of cost. We'll be happy to have you here. I think my least favorite Miranda moment, and this is really, really hard to pick, is right before the threesome happened.
The therapist talk?
Yes. That is my biggest one, because it's like she thinks she has them all figured out and psychoanalyzed and can understand them so well. And then in 3 episodes, she's calling them disgusting fucking monsters and terrible pieces of shit, and how she doesn't know who any of them are. And it's the hypocrisy there. Because I'm like, you went in there acting like you were like a messiah, and you were the cause, the cure to all issues, and you were going to just bring them together and bring it out of love. And then, because you thought you had them down to a T. Granted, you have to give the benefit of the doubt. She probably didn't think that they were going to be werewolves and vampires. But the fact that she went in there acting like she just knew everything, knew how they were. I'm like, you've been here for like a month. Sit the fuck down. You fucked both of them. That's all you know. You haven't taken the time to sit down, have a conversation,
right, like,
and
when
open up and get to know them.
To either of them?
Exactly. They tried to show it in the 2 scenes where where Roman opened up about Nadia and she went to the party, but it wasn't enough to come back and act like you know every single aspect of them, like you claim to have. So that is my I Hate Miranda moment of the season.
I think my least favorite moment of the season would have to be in episode 9, when Miranda laid on the floor and cried instead of trying to stop the man with a crossbow from shooting a baby in the face.
That is also very good.
Because I know that even if she had thrown herself in front of the bow, he might have killed her and then also the baby. But like,
at least she would have tried.
Not a big loss.
Like, if they killed you first, then you can't stop them from killing the baby. If you lay there and watch it happen, you let that baby die.
Yes.
So I'm self-appointing myself as the VP of this club. I am split between 2 scenes. The one that Mary Kate has just described for you is definitely in my top 2. And the other one, where she thinks the answer is to take the baby away from everyone that it knows. I was like, I get that you're feeding it.
You mean kidnapping people isn't healthy?
Kidnapping's not on my list of things that are okay.
Honestly.
Also, the fact that she even followed them and then saw them bloody in the woods and she didn't even know what happened. She just saw them laying bloody in the woods and was like, oh, well, in that case, I'll kidnap a baby.
I wish she would have been run off the road and just died in episode, what was it, 4? I wish that was the end of her.
Oh, that was the first episode.
Yeah. No, that was episode 4. I made it, what was it? Maybe it was episode 2. It was 2. I wrote Miranda in big letters. And then I put, and then I just scribbled it. But yeah, that was when Miranda came, was episode 2. That's when, I don't know if that's when she
Episode
started
2?
talking or if she was off the road in the last one at the end.
Oh wait, it may have been at the end of episode 1, starting into season 2. It may have been in that end of the first episode, because she ends up knocking on Roman's door at the end of episode 1, and then it carries into season 2.
Right.
Season 2, episode 2. So no, like she's right. But here,
no, but the time that we actually see her, it is in episode 2. Because my note says, "Yo, why does this dude want to kill Miranda?"
I understand that. I also would like to kill her, so I understand.
Well, yes,
honestly,
I'm gonna tell you. In the first episode she was in, I didn't hate her because I was like, this girl. Well, like I didn't love her, but in the first episode she's in episode 2, I'm like, I don't know who this girl is. She's like running away from an abusive boyfriend and getting run off the road by some dude in a car and like getting involved in things that she doesn't understand what she's getting involved in. And like, this is not going to turn out well for her, but I was concerned for her. But then as time went on, she made every dumb decision you could ever make. And I started to realize, no wonder her boyfriend hit her.
Jesus. See, I feel like each moment we had described were probably the top 3 moments that were the most intolerable of the season. Because, and then there was like the whole, she never knew how to stay placed. Like Miranda is the toddler. Nadia is more inept to, stay safe over Miranda.
And it just makes me so mad because I really liked her in the beginning. You guys remember when like I was so excited when she was like calling Roman a Byronic hero and petting the horse, and like I really liked her. Oh man, I just realized a personality flaw in myself. I figured out the moment I hated her. When she said she was a vegan.
Honestly?
That's when I started hating her. Because my first angry note is about how I don't understand how she's suddenly a vegan, because that doesn't make sense for the first 4 episodes. My first angry note about Miranda is when she said she was a vegan.
And also, the way she acted after the whole threesome happened was just weird. The way she acted, because the thing that irritated me the most was Miranda, how, like I was describing, how she went from pretending to be like this messiah who knew everything and could save them from having sex with the both of them at once. And then it went into, within the matter of 5 episodes, maybe 6 episodes, where she, like in episode 10, she's flipping out and calling them pieces of shit and assholes, and how they dragged her into this like they're nothing but pieces of garbage. They're not even human. She's like, and you, I don't even know what you are. Bitch, he was sucking on some bitch's neck. Take a fucking guess. Like, Peter wasn't even in a wolf form yet, and you could call out that he was a werewolf, but you can call out the dude munching on some dude's neck a vampire? Like, you couldn't connect she clearly hasn't seen Twilight.
Well, only watched the other thing. I have to say, the one thing I don't really know about this show is obviously like Upir is something in the vampire realm, but never once in the show has the word vampire been spoken.
That is very true.
Yeah, it really bothers me because I don't know. I feel like I don't know what's going on.
And I'm trying to figure out if this is some kind of alternate universe where 2013 was not the height of vampire television, and we're just pretending that we don't know what this is. Because, like, I get different cultures having different words for it. Totally cool with that. Totally cool with the legends being slightly different and an Upir being slightly different than a vampire. But in 23 episodes of the show, the word vampire has not been spoken one time.
And where you would think that in
maybe movie 3 of Twilight, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
2014. The 5th movie came out in 2014.
Right. Oh, yeah, I thought there was 5.
No, it wasn't 2014. It was 2013. I remember this. It was my 7th.
No, you're right. You're right. It was 2013 because it came out while Brent and I were still together, but he saw it without me, and that's when I knew we weren't going to last forever.
I saw it with my mom while I was in college.
Yeah, because I saw it when I was in 8th grade. Because I remember that was when I had my iPhone, my first phone was in 8th grade, and I had it as my little wallpaper.
Yeah, no, Brent saw Breaking Dawn Part 2 without me, and that's when I knew we weren't going to last.
My ex saw a Harry Potter movie without me, and I knew that's when we weren't going to last. So
I went and saw Star Wars without my ex, and that's when I knew I didn't give a shit about him.
That's the decider.
Yeah, so, yeah, Miranda, she's awful.
Piece of shit.
Now,
are you ready to watch this trailer and get blue-balled for something good and then for it to not be that?
Absolutely.
I'm very nervous.
I'm scared too. I really don't know what to expect with this season.
Fearless audiences only.
Bad things happen to the people that mean most to us.
What's wrong with me? If there is a cure, I'll find it.
My people are dead. I want to know why.
Us against the world.
Finding Naga is the only thing that matters.
Is there something you want to tell me?
I'm about to do things I don't want to. Sooner or later, I'm gonna have to give in.
Car 2, responding to the wild animal report at 18th 3rd.
Is this some maniac mimicking a werewolf?
What did it feel like killing that girl?
The Godfreys are very protective of the Institute's fortunes.
You're hungry, aren't you? Your hunger will only grow deeper.
Gypsies kept telling me to pay attention to the dreams, and I didn't.
Run before it's too late for you.
I would give anything!
Not to be your son. I want to be human.
Your granddaughter is the key to the survival of your lineage.
I'm guessing the reason you're here is because you're hoping for some kind of preemptive absolution for the sins you're about to commit. I'm sorry. I can't help you.
No one can.
You're gonna go to war, and you're gonna have more innocent people killed.
Well, maybe it's time to contemplate a world without Roman in it.
Your entire bloodlines are about to become extinct.
All gonna come crashing down!
Say this girl may be looking real fucking sexy.
So this is not a good thing to say out.
Sorry, hold on. It started playing again.
I stop that. So this is not a good thing to say out loud, but which Skarsgård is he? Alexander?
Bill.
No, he's Bill.
I don't know which one's which. So maybe very attracted to him. I am not attracted to him on a normal day. I don't know if it was the religious aspect. I don't know. It
him in the confession booth being like, no one can help me. I was like, yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
Or the toxicity.
His hair this season, his little like cocky little no. I can't.
So the thing is, I find him attractive, but also I spend a lot of time trying to get images for like the podcast and stuff like that. And so I spend a lot of time like Google searching his name or like Pinterest searching his name, which unfortunately means I spend a lot of time looking at Pennywise pictures, which does not help my anxiety at all.
So my one positive about this show now is that it's made Bill Skarsgård attractive to me. That is what has come out of this show.
Honestly, that trailer looked bomb.
And you want to know what? It's gonna fucking suck.
No.
They've done that with every season.
But also, I really like how much Destiny was in the trailer.
Same, but you want to know what also really scares me? Looks like Destiny is in some shit. I don't like that. And also, she's gonna get. No, I refuse to let if that fucking happens. I am killing the writers of the show because she gets engaged to Andreas, the fucking creamsicle man, and the gun silencer man. And if Miranda was in there for one split second, Nadia's like a fucking toddler now, and Miranda needs to get her head bashed in.
But
yeah,
you know,
Nadia's like aged like 5 years since the
you know
finale.
who else was looking real fine in that trailer?
Price.
Bryce.
They said, let's have all the men grow out their hair so they have a 19, like not 19, a 2008 emo fringe, a slight one.
Right. When he's got the swoop
Also-
and he's playing the drums for some reason, I was like,
And
Doesn't it?
so we're throwing blood at Shelly now too.
yeah, that was aggressive. That was aggressive, and my heart hurt.
Scary mess. Not about
But
that.
here's the thing, so it obviously shows that she's leaving. She's obviously leaving the White Tower, and people know
She's like gonna
alive
deal
now.
with whatever it is that she has to deal with for being the.
And Shelly apparently is gonna strangle Olivia.
Look, if that happens, that happens.
Yeah,
Kind of don't blame. I really don't blame her. I really.
Also,
If
what the
she
F
goes
is
out
happening?
dying by Shelly,
What is about to happen to Olivia?
I think that would be my favorite way for her to go out.
honestly, yeah. If Olivia
But
ends
like,
up
no,
dying because
that
of
weird blood poisoning that is happening to Olivia.
So she's on that table in the beginning of it, and so I
Yeah.
think he's getting Price
And
to
then
fix
they show her like pulling down her shirt, and there's like her veins are black, and Price is like whatever. If there's a cure for whatever this is, I'll find it.
I have theory because I don't think Priscilla was going to be the full cure for her to get her back her Upirism. I think it was kickstarting it, but I think that should have been a second step to it, and there wasn't a second step made yet because Dr. Chernobyl was a dumb, stupid fucking bitch.
Well,
He
yeah,
was
but
literally
also
just
Dr.
there to piss
Chernobyl
everyone off.
may or may not still be a liar.
I think that Price convinces her to get treatment, and he poisons her. That's what I think.
I don't think so. I think that Price is secretly in love with Olivia and the father of Shelley's baby.
I think he cares about Shelly a
Not
lot.
Shelley's baby. I think he's the father, Shelley's father. I think that he's secretly a little bit in love with Olivia and is Shelley's father. And the reason he's working so hard to fix everything is. But also, like, what is Price's story? Like, he's got some kind of medical condition that makes him the Hulk.
I think that he doesn't love Olivia, but she's his key into the tower because Norman hated him and Roman hates him. So the only reason he's still there is because Olivia is using him for her treatments and whatnot. And so
I honestly don't think Roman hates Price anymore. I really don't think he hates him.
I think he could flip on a switch though. And I think Price knows that. I think Price knows it's not a safe bet.
But also,
that's fair.
Because this came up in the finale and then was never really addressed because there was too much other garbage going on. Who gets Bishop Francis's shares of the company?
The cult?
Because Price wants it to be him.
I think Price is going to end up absorbing a majority
and if
of
Price
it. But Olivia's
absorbs
gonna
the
get
bishop's shares between his own shares and the bishop's shares, he might outrank Roman.
And then he won't need Olivia anymore.
And then he won't need Olivia anymore, yeah.
And apparently, well, we all know Roman's going to have to, I think Roman's going to be like no holds barred this season. And he's just going to go fucking AWOL.
Well, because the thing about Roman is, Roman has already proven that he does have a heart.
Mm-hmm.
And when you fuck with the people that have his heart, it doesn't really go well for you.
Exactly.
And somebody took Nadia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to turn out really well. Also, Peter seems to be in a rough spot in this trailer.
It scares me. I think Peter is going to become a Vargulf. I really do.
Peter already became a Vargulf. Well,
no, but like I think he's going to change again, and he's going to get stuck.
But there was like 8 wolves in this trailer. Who the fuck are these wolves? Where did they come from? Who's killing? He said all my kind are dead. Who's killing gypsies and or wolves?
I worry that Roman's gonna have to kill Peter.
Yeah.
When he approaches him, he's like, "How did it feel killing that girl?" I was like, "Oh God." Roman's gonna have to take Peter out because Peter has lost control because he's changed too many
Wait,
times.
no. When Roman said, "How did it feel killing that girl?" That was from the first season when he.
Yes,
when
it
he
was,
said that
but why was it in the trailer?
Oh,
That was the clip from the first season, but it was in the trailer for a reason that I can't talk about because I know how it ends.
I think he's gonna have to kill Peter. That's my prediction. I do not know what is occurring right now.
I don't know what
I just don't
Monica's
know-
doing, but I'm trying really hard not to say things.
Yeah, you just stop
Mary
talking.
Kate, Mary Kate, cut this out right now. You kick us off.
Okay, so we're not really sure how season 3 is gonna go. But next week we will be back with a betweener episode that I think we picked what we're watching.
No, we didn't. We haven't picked yet.
Oh no, here's the thing. Courtney and I talked about it on the Facebook group chat and you did not respond. That's what happened.
That's what happened. Sorry.
So potentially, if Monica does not have a problem with this, we will be reviewing the Netflix version of Rebecca that came out in October.
Rebecca, I don't think I don't know what Rebecca is.
Rebecca is the gothic horror novel that Shelley was talking about in season 1 that I said we should watch, but then it was the same week as we were watching Halloween. And Armie Hammer is in a Netflix version of the movie that I have yet to watch that came out in October.
Oh, you want to know what? Honestly, yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, cool. So next week we will be reviewing Rebecca. It'll be interesting because I have read the book and seen the Hitchcock version of the movie, whereas Monica knows absolutely nothing about the story. So that'll be fun. And then after that, it will be starting season
3.
3, unfortunately, of Hemlock Grove.
Can't wait.
So if you have questions, complaints, reviews, feel free to email us at deathandaliens@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter at deathandaliens, and check out our Instagram and Twitter because right now we are doing a series on #ruining your childhood by creating connections between the horrible characters of Hemlock Grove and children's movie characters that they kind of could be if the world was a little bit more spicy. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can follow me on Instagram at monica.lynn_ and on Twitter at mon_lynn_. And now, Courtney, plug in your handles. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm not very active, but you can follow me on at CECloud13 on everything.
And she also does like book reviews and stuff. So like if you give a shit about like books and whatnot, check her out.
Oh yeah, I have a blog called "It's with a Book in Our Hands" on Facebook and on WordPress. You can just search it with a book in our hands.com.
Where did you go? Then there'd be me if I were to like create a website. It would just be like, my life is a shit show. Welcome to the welcome to the show.
And on that note, we will see you next week.